example of someone whose obsession took over his life and in the end led to his death. However, personally, I believe this to be a misconception. To me, Gatsby was obsessed with Daisy, but it was his shyness that made him seem eccentric. He wanted things to return to the way they were years ago, but he did not know how, and that's why he needed Nick Carraway to help. His obsession was love, a quiet love, that should have ended happily ever after. Instead, disaster struck. A series of unfortunate events unfolded, all beginning with the marriage between Daisy and Tom, leaving Gatsby stranded alone without his true love. Through determination and perseverance, Gatsby worked for 5 whole years to try and create what he believed Daisy would want, not knowing that all she really wanted was him. When they were finally reunited, Nick Carraway himself told me of Gatsby's joyful reaction. "It's the funniest thing, old sport," Gatsby said hilariously. When I tried to. He had passed visibly through 2 states and was entering upon a 3rd. After his embarrassment and unreasonable joy, he was consumed with wonder at her presence. I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like a man who is in love, and who has finally been accepted by the one he loves. At the time, their futures were looking bright, until an unlucky accident in which Gatsby was not even driving the car, and a rage-filled George Wilson, who was directed by a jealous Tom Buchanan, ended Gatsby's life. In the end, was it really Gatsby's obsession with Daisy that led to his downfall? Or was it an innocent story of love that got mixed with a horror story? Though he may have been obsessed, and part of his obsession may have been bad, I believe that all he wanted was Daisy, and Tom's jealousy was what really destroyed the love. That leads me to my next point. Obsessions come in all shapes and sizes, and only a few ever lead to one's downfall. Love, of course, is one of the most common obsessions, and unlike with Gatsby and Daisy, it usually ends well. Many famous musicians, artists, and even scientists have been considered obsessive, and yet they are the ones that come up with the most amazing creations. Take, for example, Einstein, a scientist dedicated to his work, originally thought of as crazy and eccentric, but now he is still thought of as being one of the greatest scientists of all time. In the end, as long as it is directed, an obsession can be a great thing, giving a person a goal in his or her life, something to work for. Anything to the extreme can be dangerous. Even drinking water and obsessions are the same. Gatsby's death is an example of an obsession that went too far. His life was not ruined by his obsession, and lives rarely ever are. It was his loss of control over the resulting situation that destroyed him, caused only by carelessness and petty emotions such as jealousy and rage.
Very interesting. But I think you confuse 2 terms. The term obsession and the term goal. I think Einstein had a goal, and that was to be the smartest he could be, and he attained that goal. Gatsby had an obsession, which is very different. Obsessions aren't goals that can be attained. Obsessions are obsessions that will never, ever be obtained. No matter how far one gets, one will never obtain an obsession. That's what Gatsby had, an obsession. And he died for it. I have a quote from the book. A quote, yes. This is from the part where Gatsby realizes that his obsession could not be attained. When he's talking to Daisy about if she loved him, and Daisy says if she loved Tom, and then Daisy says, "I did love him once, but I loved you too." Gatsby's eyes opened and closed. "You loved me too?" he repeated. "Even that's a lie," said Tom savagely. "She didn't know you were alive. Why, there's things between Daisy and me that you'll never know, things that either of us can ever forget." The words seemed to bite physically into Gatsby. This is the point in the book where Gatsby realizes that this obsession that he has for Daisy is never going to happen because it's unattainable. It's in the past. He left, and Tom came in, and it was over. He can't. Gatsby cannot attain this because it is not possible. Like, you can't go against fate like that. I think one person can have a very strong idea on what they want to do in their life, and they can work as hard as they can, But in the end, there is an element of fate that that reflects onto this person's life, and that is what stopped Gatsby in the end.
Well, I have to disagree with the points you made. There's no question